Hey guys, Chase with Sherpa Equipment Company. Today we're going to be installing an Animas A on this 3rd gen Tacoma. We have 4 different Animas racks. We will be installing the A today on this one, working with a Vagabond cab over camper. The A is our shortest rack through D, which is our longest rack. So when you receive your rack, you'll open it up and you will have 3 crossbars. You'll have your side plates, your fairing, your hardware, and then your hardware sheet. So your hardware bag will be divided up into 3 parts. You're going to have your fairing hardware separate, your rack hardware, and then your mounting feet. And then you might also have a couple more pouches depending on if you've got any accessories to go along with the rack. First things first, we're going to get our feet out. You'll have 2 rubbers to go with the mounting feet. And we're going to go ahead and install the mounting feet to a crossbar first. So once you open up your hardware pack, you will separate all your hardware out. You're going to have 4 roof mounting bolts, your M6. You're going to have 4 bonded washers to go along with those, 4 T-nuts, 4 5/8 hex bolts that will go through the bottom of your mounting feet into your crossbar. And then you'll have 12 socket button bolts that will also be mounting your crossbars, along with 12 matching 1/4 inch black washers. Next thing we're going to want to do is go ahead and unwrap our crossbars, and we'll be attaching the mounting feet to the bottom of the crossbar. You're going to want to take 2 T-nuts and go ahead and drop them into the tracks on the bottom of the crossbar. It does not matter which side you put facing in or out. Then you're going to want your mounting feet and then 2 of your hex bolt 5/8 and washers. And then you're going to want to put these mounting feet on with the Z facing towards the outside of the bar, or the end of the bar. And then once you get them started, you just want to thread them in loosely so you can slide them around. Once you get them up on top of your truck, it'll be a lot easier to adjust that way. So now we're going to head up to the top of the truck, and you're going to want to pull back your weather stripping out of the channels a little bit. We'll be cutting this back to open up the holes for the mounting feet. So on Tacomas, you're going to have to poke through a small layer of vinyl protecting the mounting holes for the feet. So to do that, you can rub your finger against the vinyl strip here and you'll feel the 2 indents for the holes. And that's where your threaded portion is for the mounting feet. So to clear that away, you just take a small sharp object, go ahead and poke right through the center of that. And then you just want to clear away the threaded area a little bit, working it backwards, just to make sure you're not getting any of that vinyl down in the threads, gumming it up. It'll make your install easier. So now that we got the holes cleared in the roof, we're going to take our crossbar with the mounting feet pre-attached. Going to want to make sure your mounting feet are on the right side. You should be able to read your letters facing forward as they read for the rack. And once you get your crossbar up here, you're going to grab one of your rubbers. These are side specific. The thinner side of the rubber should be facing the inside of the truck. You're going to want to go ahead and drop that right on top in the tracks on top of your newly exposed holes. And once your rubber's in the track over your holes, you should be able to see those through the holes on the rubber itself. You're going to want to go ahead and line your mounting feet up with the same holes on the rubber. And then you're going to take 2 of your M6 roof mount bolts, and you're going to want a bonded washer on both of those. You're going to go ahead and thread that right into the newly exposed holes on your roof. So when you're tightening the mounting feet down into the roof, you want to make sure you don't over tighten it. These bonded washers, you'll see them start to go flat. You don't want to go any farther than that. You can easily over tighten because the rubber will keep sinking in as you tighten up, so you just want to keep an eye on those bonded washers to make sure you don't do that. One thing we like to do around here is make your life a little bit easier is mark where you got to cut on your weather stripping, and then go ahead and grab a pair of wire snips or garden snips or anything that can cut through wire pretty easily. There's a wire core running down the center of this stripping, so scissors or a knife won't really do it for you. Then you can kind of just snip it in 2 different places. Should snip through relatively easily, giving yourself a nice clean cut that lines up to your mounting foot. So now that our first crossbar is mounted on the roof, we can go ahead and get it centered up. And we like to do this by taking your tape measure and having a buddy on the other side, or you can do this by yourself, but measuring from your end of your crossbar to the inside face of the mounting foot. For this rack, for example, we have a measurement of 4 3/4, which we will even up on both sides. All racks will be different on their mounting feet, crossbar combinations, but it's a good way to get it centered up. So once you get your crossbar centered on your mounting feet, you can go ahead and tighten the bolts running in from the bottom of the mounting foot to the crossbar. And you don't have to go crazy with these, no need to over tighten them. So now that our crossbar is attached to our mounting feet, secured to the roof, we're going to go ahead and grab our side plates. And for that, we're going to need 4 of our socket button bolts and 2 side plates. Once you got your side plates loosely on, you can go ahead and check with both sides, make sure they're both lined up, and just make sure your crossbars are straight on your rack. Now that we got our first 2 crossbars up, we're going to go ahead and install the fairing. It's important to note though, on the crossbars when you're putting them on, there's no need to over tighten the socket button bolts. You don't really need a whole lot of pressure to get those things nice and strong. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and attach the fairing to the last crossbar. To do this, we're going to go ahead and unwrap our fairing. And then a good trick to getting the fairing on the crossbar straight is you can go ahead and line up your holes with where your T-nuts are going to lay on the crossbar. So go ahead and lay your crossbar next to the fairing. Take your 6 T-nuts out of your hardware pack. Go ahead and drop all those in. Once you have all 6 T-nuts in your crossbar, you can go ahead and set the crossbar on to make sure you're lined up. And then you're going to take your remaining socket button bolts and 1/4 inch black washers and thread them into the T-nuts. And important to note on this step as well, you're going to want to leave your bolts loose until you get all of them in. That way you can adjust and slide if you need to. Once you have all your all 6 bolts loosely in the fairing, you can go back, make sure it's centered on the crossbar, and then go ahead and tighten down all 6 bolts. And once again, it's important not to over tighten these. They do not take a lot. Right. So last step is we're going to line up our fairing. We like to keep it about 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch above the roof line. That is fully adjustable if you're having any problem with wind noise on the highway or on the roads. You can adjust that up or down. And you're going to take your last 4 socket button bolts and tighten them in. Alright, so the rack is on the truck, looks great. Once you're finished installing everything, it's a good idea to do a once around, go check all your bolts, make sure everything's nice and tight. It's also a good idea after about 100 miles or so to go back through, make sure everything's still tight. But if it is, it's all good to go, ready for the road. Now you can adventure with confidence.